Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling with the Paranormal. I'm going to beat the truth out of me because I can't beat it out of you. Welcome to Wrestling Paranormal. I'm Aaron, the Enlightened One.
And I'm Craig, the Gray. How you doing today, Aaron?
I am doing good. The problem with this mask is I always mess up my hair and I can't fix it.
You gotta go. You gotta go back to makeup. Go back to makeup there. You know, get the makeup girl to redo your hair.
We have makeup girl.
Nah, it looks fine. You look great. You know what? You look great.
Thanks.
Some people might only be listening anyway. You know.
Well, we don't have an actual audio podcast yet.
But they might be listening while they're exercising or something.
Oh,
you know?
I see. You're saying.
Yeah. Or maybe they're doing some divination practices.
We're going to get into stuff like that. So we'll just start off straight off the bat. Today's episode is about dreams, psychics, mediums,
Premonitions,
the prophetic,
prophecies.
Prophecies. All that kind of stuff. Visions.
I'm sensing something. This is going to be the best episode we've ever done. I just got a premonition. Did you feel that?
No,
best episode ever.
But I had a dream about it last night.
Maybe we're in your dream.
Do you think that people can cross over into other people's dreams?
Yeah, maybe. Like, do you have to sleep close together? Do your heads have to touch while you're sleeping?
We have to touch our heads.
So the dreams can
Let's put our beds together and make our heads touch.
It could happen. It could happen. Nothing's out of the realm of possibility here. You could go into somebody's dream.
I think it would have to be like some seriously spiritual stuff going on.
Well, we do dream about each other a lot. Like, don't you ever have friends be like, "Hey, I had a dream about you the other night," right? It does happen.
But like to be in sync in the same
right.
Anyways, we're rambling here. We're
gonna start with dreams. Why don't we start with dreams?
Yeah, let's talk about dreams. And we're going to talk a little bit about the stories of dreams, of good fortune.
Dreams of good fortune?
Yeah, like good stuff that happened to people that had, well, some of it's good. But anyways, so we got a woman. Her name is Mary Sudozin, and she dreamed that she won the lottery. And so she had these 6 numbers in her head, and she won the lottery that same day. She bought a ticket. All the numbers came in.
The numbers from her dream.
The numbers from her dream.
Oh my God.
She bought a ticket, and she quit her job. And this is our wrestling story, because her husband wrestled on the side for charity. He did some charity wrestling.
Oh wow! And, there you go.
And so he did. The name was the Wolfman, and they won $66 million.
Whoa, interesting.
And so our next one is it comes from, his name is Insala Khan, and he was 18 years old, and he got a visa, and he wanted a visa to go to the United States because he was very poor. He's from Pakistan. And he dreamed lottery numbers, and he played them for 10 years. When he finally had come to America, he played them for 10 years, and then after 10 years, he won $53 million.
Whoa!
So he spent his money, bought some nice stuff for himself, but it wasn't enough. So what he did was he moved back to Pakistan, and he became a mayor of his hometown. And he ended up, there was an earthquake in Pakistan at the time, and all the people were suffering, and there was a lot of devastation. And he was able to use his money to help some of the people in Pakistan with some of the restoration of their homes and food and medical and all that kind of stuff. So
There you
that's
go.
interesting that it ended up being for the good, not just
Mhm.
for others, not just himself. Uh, another one is right here in Canada. Her name is Olga Bena, and she was 20 for 29 years. She played these lottery numbers that she had in a dream. And it wasn't until the 29th year that she finally won the 649, and it was 5.3 million. But cruel joke, she ended up getting cancer and dying, and had to
Oh
leave the
no.
money to her grandchildren. And well, maybe it's a legacy thing, so it's not necessarily bad to left the money to her kids and grandchildren. This next one is Peter Monday, and he's from Australia. This one's really interesting because he heard a contest on the radio, and it was to he's in Australia, so he wanted to go on a trip, and the trip was to Germany to see Tina Turner and Rod Stewart in a concert, and everything's paid for. And so he wanted to go, so he entered the contest. And the first night he dreamt about winning the contest, and he's like, you can kind of look it off and say,
Hopeful. Yeah.
yeah, you have a
Just being
dream. Oh, that's
hopeful and
nice.
you're
Yeah,
dreaming. Yeah.
yeah. A few nights later, he dreams it again, and some of the details are coming more clear, and it's a little more detailed. So he's getting me more hopeful, and the next in the next couple weeks he dreams it again, and it's like a movie where he's watching himself in it. And after that dream, he's so convinced that he's going to win this trip that he decides, well, I better go get my visa because I'm going to Germany with my family. So I got to get ready. And so he even tells the story at the visa place. Is like, well, you're going on a trip, or so he tells the story. He's like, well, I'm going to win a contest. They're thinking he's sleepy, and sure enough, they phone him, and he's like, I've been expecting this call.
Whoa.
So that's how confident he was.
Wow.
Uh, so have you ever had a dream that's come true? Not obviously not like these guys, but
Yeah, we've heard some lottery tickets and winning contests. And did you get all those stories from the 649 website?
no, I didn't.
I'm just kidding.
No.
They're our new sponsor, Lotto 649.
It
Just
can
kidding.
happen to you.
It could happen to you. Dream big. Dream big.
Dream really big.
I haven't had experience with. I've had vivid dreams. I've had dreams of people in my life. I dream about things in the past, kind of. I have a lot of dreams that take place in my grandmother's house and stuff like that, but I have never had a future dream. I mean, maybe I've had one and didn't remember it. I don't know, but I've never had an experience of having a
I've
dream.
had really dumb dreams
Mm-hmm.
where, let's say I'm at the 7-Eleven and I'm pouring myself a Slurpee, and in my dream I poured the exact same Slurpee or something stupid like that.
Like the
Just
next.
like, yeah, the next day, the exact same way, and just like, whoa, I just dreamt this last night, the same flavors.
So you don't. Let's back this up. It's not like you had a dream and then you're like, okay, I'll go get a 7-Eleven Slurpee because I dreamed a bit. You forgot that you had the dream.
Yeah, until I'm actually buying.
And then when you're pouring the Slurpee, you realize that you had
yes,
a dream.
and it's like the same. You put the rainbow colors in there, whatever.
Do you ever fall asleep with the TV on and commercials running? Maybe there was a 7-Eleven commercial.
no, but
That's
it's
really
but
good advertising.
But it's more than just that. I've had dumb little unimportant things,
Hmm.
I remember that happened to me the next day. So,
But you've never dreamed of lottery numbers, lottery ticket numbers.
nah,
Would you
unfortunately
play if
not.
you did? If you dreamt numbers?
I would go the next day and buy myself tickets. If I got numbers in a dream that specific, you got it, Craig. If you ever get numbers in your dream, go buy yourself a ticket.
I was at the I was at a Chinese restaurant yesterday, and I forgot we got the fortune cookie, right? And I got a fortune. It was a really silly fortune. It was something like a child's words will inspire you or something. I was like, what is this? But
Children don't inspire us.
what is this? Yeah, get out of here. But on the back, do you remember this? If you look on the back of a fortune or a
Lucky
fortune cookie,
numbers.
649 numbers. There's 6 numbers. None of them are higher than 49. It's for the lotto 649. Isn't that weird?
Well, Chinese culture is really big into luck.
Right, but I always wondered if it was tied in with the company, like, or whoever made that lottery somehow.
No, I just think they're just.
Yeah, but I guess that's a form of fortune telling, a fortune cookie, right?
So, what about you hear those stories of people getting premonitions.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's more to the dream thing, like dreams and premonitions. But what about the people have premonitions where they uh, they tell somebody you can't get on that flight
Hmm.
because I got a bad feeling. You've heard of that. You've all heard
Oh yeah,
stories like that.
yeah. I'm trying to. I feel like I remember somebody telling me not to do something, and now I can't remember who it was.
Oh no, you better.
It wasn't recent. It was like a while ago, and then maybe I feel like maybe I didn't do it, but I kind of have a story. This is a little bit silly though, but I was walking down the street the other day, like downtown, and I had this feeling like something was gonna fall on my head, and I actually worked in a school like a long time ago in Taiwan when I worked in Taiwan, and actually there was an air conditioner that had fallen on somebody and killed them. It was really
Well, that was in you stuck in
it
your
was in my
head.
head. I'm like, oh my god, what if an air conditioner falls on me? So I was being like really careful and like looking up at the sky, and I was all like worried that something was gonna fall on me. It was just all of a sudden I just had this idea that something was gonna fall on my head. And I was being like really careful and being like slow and looking around. And then I got to a stoplight where there was cars going by. A bird shit right in front of me. And it didn't hit me though, but it was right in front of me. And I was like, if I hadn't have got that premonition, I wouldn't have gone a bit slower, and the bird probably would have shit right on my head.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Are we allowed to say that word?
Yeah,
Bird?
yeah, we can say bird.
What about you? You have any premonitions or anything?
Okay, so I got some premonition stories here.
Let's hear them.
So there was someone's father. Um, they were in the garage, and he got a premonition. Sometimes the premonitions don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
That he needed to move. He had two cars in there, and he needed to move one of them out onto the driveway. And to him, this made no sense. There was no reason he needed to do this because everything was fine. But just something inside had told him, you need to move this particular car out. It was a Subaru. Move the Subaru out into the driveway. And so he's like, okay. So he got in the Subaru, drove it out to the driveway. And just as he did, a Tesla crashed into uh, the garage and set the house on fire and set the garage on fire there. And the premonition saved his life.
Oh, because he would have been in the house.
He would have stayed.
So
He
instead of being in the house,
would
he
have been in the garage. He was in the garage.
right, right.
Got to clean it up. And this guy had a
And
DUI.
it also saved his Subaru.
Yeah,
So
so
that
he wrecked the other car, but still,
was the Tesla like self-driving? Was it like
no,
on
no, the
off?
guy was drunk.
Oh yeah. That is interesting.
Another one that's kind of similar, involving a garage. A family was was sitting having breakfast one morning, and the daughter, she went into the garage, and uh, the mother and the father, they're sitting at the table with the other kid, and the mother goes, "Oh no, you need to go see Janice. She's in the something's going on with Janice." And the dad's a police officer, and he has a gun. He's getting ready to go to work. He has a gun in his pocket, in his holster or whatever. So he runs up to the garage. Like, the mother has no reason to know this, but a ferocious dog had just cornered the daughter in the garage, and so I guess he came in and uh, scared the dog away.
Whoa.
But there's no way that the mother just had a feeling, right?
Mhm. Okay, so we can. I know you might have more stories. You want to get into what we think is going on? Let's wrestle with this here.
Let's tell the stories first.
You got a couple more? Okay, maybe it'll
I got two
elucidate.
more. I got two more, and then we'll
Two
get
more
into it.
stories. We'll get into it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
write some notes here. I'm writing some notes. Okay.
Okay, so father and son, they're driving. Driving out of their driveway, and the dad's just about to drive out onto the road, and sorry, the dad's just about to drive out the road, and the kid yells, "Yellow sports car!" And the dad's like, "What? Yellow sports car?" And all of a sudden, a few seconds later, this yellow sports car comes driving around the corner, and just almost crashes into them. But because he said this before the sports car came out, everything was okay. And there's no way they could have known that the sports car was coming because there was a corner. The next one, we got a guy who's in the Navy, and so he's about to be deployed overseas, and he's telling his girlfriend that I'm going to this deployment, and she just starts freaking out. She's like, "You can't go, you can't go." I guess she had a feeling, a premonition,
Mhm.
and she's losing it, and so she's becoming a real pain in his ass to not go. And so he goes to his commanding officer. He says, "Listen, is there any way I can get out of this?" He's like, "Well, if you can trade with one of your other officers and go where they're going, they can go where you're going." And so it ends up happening, and the plane takes off to take out these 16 soldiers to wherever they're going, and the plane explodes and crashes just as this goes up. So that's exactly what we were talking about earlier.
Mhm. Mhm. All right. So what do you think's going on? A lot of these are life-saving premonitions, right?
Yeah, like, it's
Now here's
interesting.
it is interesting. I got a couple of points to make. I mean, the obvious is that like something knows that something bad is going to happen in the person, and that thing, whatever it is, a force, can warn the person through their thoughts, right?
Yeah,
And this could tie into our. We did an episode on angels. Maybe these people have like a guardian angel looking out for them, or some other force of nature or supernatural force.
yeah. Um, but we always get that gut feeling.
Intuition.
Yeah, intuition.
Mhm.
Uh, I think it has a little bit of something to do with that, but there's something. It's kind of tied into some sort of hidden part of us. I think that we all kind of have this, but we're kind of we're kind of watered down by what society has made us, and we're not in tune with our true nature, the power
See,
of the human spirit.
mhm. There's different types of intuition though, because there's the intuition like if you meet somebody on the street and they're like, "Hey, do you want to buy a watch?" and you get a feeling
Yeah,
that the guy's trying to scam you. That's like an intuition based on like, well, what I know of people and, people trying to steal money from me, that like this is probably a scam. That's the kind of intuition that like is maybe based on past experience and things. But like intuition to like move your car because a car is going to crash into your car. That's like, it's not really based on like, oh, I have a feeling that this is going to happen based on past experience. Like it's almost like knowing the future somehow, right? So like do you think our intuition can somehow like access
Yeah, I think that
information from the
I
future?
think they're entwined. So
Hmm.
like you say, you meet a Joe who's he might seem like a great guy at first, but all of a sudden, all these hidden red flags that our subconscious pulls up about this guy, and all of a sudden, I don't know what it is, but there's something I don't like about this guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had that feeling for sure.
You're
Yeah.
not even sure why, but there's something about this guy I don't trust,
Yeah.
and you can't even pick it out if someone asks you.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And I
And
think
that
that
could be something that maybe something was going to happen in the future, but if you don't, you never know some of the like you could be following your intuition and maybe it did save you from certain things happening in the future, but if you never saw them happen, then you wouldn't even know that following your intuition was saving you from certain circumstances. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think what it is um, we've got a guy commenting. His name's Forgotten Shadows here on YouTube, and he says your subconscious is also constantly interpreting body language, even if you can't put into words what's tickling you about them. So that's a good point too.
Right. I mean, there is a theory that our subconscious is actually this thing that's connected to like it's like this almost like this pool of experience that we all access that like all human beings can
Yeah.
access the subconscious, right? And it's like a shared thing. So maybe that's where these premonitions come from is something in the
So
unconscious.
what I propose is that thing that um, it's like a super version of that when we're getting the yellow sports car moment.
Right. Oh, sorry. I'm having
Whoa, whoa,
technical difficulties here. Just give me a second. Okay.
wrong episode, man.
Did you feel something? My wiring is weird in my room. I got like weird wiring for my
So
lights.
yeah, I think what it is that it's our gut attached to something super spiritual about the human spirit that we don't even understand yet, and it's tapping into kind of that super version of that.
Now, what's interesting is that in past cultures, in ancient civilizations, they would actually have people. Well, actually, it still exists today. When I was living in Taiwan, there was actually this place called Fortune Teller Alley, where it's like this alleyway that had a whole bunch of different fortune tellers that you could go to, and they would tell fortunes in different ways. There was one guy who had symbols on the floor, and he
Yeah.
would throw out bird seed, and he had this bird that would come out, and depending on which bird seed the bird ate, he would tell your fortune based on that, and it would eat from different symbols, right? Because the bird seed would spread out on the floor. So that was like, and in Taiwan, people really believed a lot in fortune telling. So when you were getting married, you would consult a fortune teller to get a reading to figure out what day to get married on. What color to do the bridesmaids dresses, like everything. You would get consultation, right, from fortune tellers, and they believe it, and it's really like thriving
Well,
culture.
but most of them are charlatans. Like, let's be honest. Most most
Well,
most most
it's
psychics, most psychics. I'm not saying all of them, but
yeah.
most psychics and fortune tellers are charlatans, and that what they say is very vague, and it's
Mhm.
very like you had a bad relationship with your father. What? Guess what? We all did.
Wow, you heard it here first, people.
Yeah, most people had a bad relationship with their dad.
But here's the thing: you got to take it into context, like the wedding thing that I just talked about, right? So
Yeah,
they ask for, oh, what day should we have it on? Different things, and then if they have a good wedding, then they'll think like, oh, the person was right. I don't know if they have a bad wedding, maybe they'll just think they messed something up. But it's like it's not like they're being ripped off, like they go and they want to get like some kind of consultation to kind of make them feel less nervous. Like a wedding is something that people get a lot of anxiety over, and if going to
yeah.
a fortune
So
teller
what you're
helps you
saying is,
remove
so
some of
they're
that
just
anxiety,
so they're
yeah,
kind of
and
just good at counseling in a way.
yeah, it's like a different type of counseling, right?
Yeah,
And so I don't know if I'd call them charlatans if they're providing a service that like helps people, right? Um, I've got a little bit of information on the Oracle of Delphi. So this is an ancient Greek tradition. Uh, this is like, um, and Roman, like the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire. So 7th century to the 5th century BC. Okay, so this is 700 years before Christ. That was the height of when they were using this oracle. So there was this place called Delphi, in uh oh geez, where is it now? Temple of Apollo. So it's Rome. So I think it's actually off Italy somewhere. I don't know. It was in the Roman Empire somewhere. So this oracle would be like a temple, and there was always these legends that it was built on where there was were these gases, and the priest would go into this room that only the priestess could go into. Only the priestess could go into this one room that was in the temple, and she would breathe in the gases, and then she would kind of like get visions and come out, and she would speak like from what her visions told her. She would just say things, and like emperors would consult, artists. It says here like Alexander the Great even went to get a consultation from the Oracle of Delphi. So people like really believed in it, and put a lot of like the culture was like kind of just in that place where they put a lot of belief in this oracle. The oracle was called the Pythia. The Pythia is it's named after the python that Apollo killed. So apparently the priestess was speaking from the god Apollo, like Apollo was giving her the visions, and that's what everybody believed, that it was the temple of Apollo. But even before the Oracle of Delphi was like part of this whole culture, that area had like, because there's
So what
history.
country is this?
Sorry?
What country area?
It's the Roman Empire, but the
Okay.
empire was so big. Like I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
what the modern day, like it might have been in Italy, but actually, like the empire was so big, maybe it was.
Yeah, they covered everywhere, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's in Greece. It was in
Okay.
Greece. Yeah. It's it's a town in Mount Parnassus in the mainland of Greece. Yeah, but the Temple of Apollo. Um, so I mean, that's kind of interesting that like they put so much stock into this thing. So for centuries, because all we had was the history from history books, everybody like believed that she breathed in vapors. But then they dug up the oracle in 1884. The French archaeologists like dug up, excavated the site, and when they found the temple, they didn't find any like fault line or anything like that. So they thought that maybe it was just a lie, like maybe she wasn't actually breathing in any gas or anything like that. But then I was watching this documentary that recent scientists, like geologists who know what they're doing, they actually did find a fault line. It's deeper, and if you look at satellite pictures, you can see the fissure start, and then it stops for a bit, and the town's there, and then it goes on. So it's obviously there is a fault line there, and they actually did some samples and everything to see what kind of chemicals are in the water in the area, and they did find like ethanol and things that can actually get you kind of high. There was also a
So,
story.
so pretty much, she was just a stoner who's like, "Whoa, I think that you are just right."
Mhm.
She's just a
One of the
stoner that was
well, and
tripping out.
one of the prophecies was there was a general who went there to ask about a battle that he was going to be in, and she said, "If you attack, you will destroy a great kingdom." So he thought, "Oh, that means I should attack because I'm trying to destroy them." And
She
then
just destroyed his own kingdom.
he went forward with the attack, but he actually lost and destroyed his own kingdom. So it was like, you can interpret these things different ways. So really,
So
what kind
really,
of
she didn't
information?
help at all.
It didn't really help at all.
And that's that's don't get advice from your high friend. Don't.
There was even a story of one of the priestess dying. So they would only do the oracle would only speak and do prophecies on certain times of the month, or sorry, certain months of the year, so certain times of the year. And scientists are thinking now that it was probably because the gases were releasing a little bit less or more depending on the time of the year, because that's the way like the gases
um,
would work.
Forgotten Shadow said that's very silly. She gave an answer that is correct no matter what the outcome, and I agree with him because that's what these charlatans do. They give you an answer that's going to work out no matter what, right? It's
It's
like,
one way or the other.
oh,
It's true.
It's very vague, right?
But yeah, I was gonna say there's one of the oracles actually died. So and the way they reported her death in the history, it sounded very much like somebody dying from huffing too much ethanol or another like butane or another chemical because she was vomiting and then she probably vomited and got food in her lungs and then died of pneumonia. So it's like clearly they're just, and the thing is, this isn't really a charlatan because they're forcing these girls, these priestess, to go and breathe these gases in and then come out and give them visions. And some of the, and like one of them died. Like it's not really like they're not getting much benefit from this, right? So it was more just probably the temple was making money. The Oracle of Delphi at one point, Delphi became this like entertainment center. They had an arena, they had a stadium, they even had the games. They had their own mini Olympics. What is it called? The Pythian Games. They even had their mini Olympics. So it became like a little Las Vegas for a time.
Wow.
So somebody was making some money.
Yeah, and you're like, and go see our oracle. So it was typical like moneymaker.
Bit of a moneymaker. Bit of a moneymaker.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean it's a touchy subject to like yeah, people make money off of it. I mean, that's true. I actually like as a hobby, I read tarot cards. I am into
Wait,
tarot.
before you go into that, what do you think about mediums who are contacting the dead?
Mm. That's actually probably yeah, right on the money for discussing this. So that became really popular in the 1800s. A lot of people got into like this idea that you could contact spirits recently deceased, and a lot of them were like it's reported, right? Like they proved it that they were, they had devices where they could make a knocking sound on the table, or they could make the table lift up a bit and shake, or they would play with the lights or something. And a lot of them were using stage magician tricks that they learned from stage magicians because stage magic was also very popular at that time period. So,
And you're also playing on people's emotions.
mhm.
Your aunt Hilda just died,
Yeah.
and she's your favorite aunt, and like I miss my aunt Hilda. Oh, there's a woman here. She has an H in her name. Like,
Yeah, but again, it's like a touchy subject because, like I was saying before, if you just recently lost somebody and you do go to a medium and they do make you feel better a little bit, like we said, it's kind of like a form of counseling. I mean, you could look at it like, oh, they're just ripping you off because they're lying to you. But if it makes you feel better and you're grieving, I don't
but
know.
wait a second, wait a second. That's like saying if I drink some, if I'm addicted to alcohol and I just drink alcohol, it makes me feel better, even though I become an alcoholic and I mismanages my life.
Wait, are you saying that the beer companies are charlatans?
Well, I'm saying like if you get addicted to stuff like
They are never. You
a
just
lot of
realized
these.
we lost a
Hey,
lot of sponsors. We
but
just
you get a
lost a
lot
bunch
of.
of sponsors.
You said that. I didn't say it.
No, I'm connecting the dots. I'm wrestling with the charlatans. Okay. But no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's true.
Forgotten Shadows, he goes, when your service isn't even validated to exist, it puts them in a position where they win if they're real or not, and we call them a scam.
Mm.
Fair enough.
Like I said, it's a very touchy subject. Yeah.
But you think of like the people that get addicted to this, right?
Yeah.
You're not coming just one time to find out about Aunt Hilda.
And it did become very popular in that time period. And after a while, there were scientists trying to stop these people from doing it and making money off of it because people were becoming really kind of fanatic about it. One of the presidents of the United States, even, I think it was more his wife was into it. Oh, man, I can't remember which president it was, but he was super into this kind of stuff. I'm just going to look it up. President into, what are they called? Seances? Medium. Spirit medium.
Yeah, one of the presidents was really into that.
I remember because I read a book about this a long time ago. Oh, it was Lincoln. Yeah, it was just Lincoln. So like Abraham Lincoln was really into spiritualists. His wife more so, I think. And then after he died, I believe this is true that his wife actually ended up in an insane asylum. I think that's right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Now,
But that just goes to show you like the level to which people will believe these things, right?
but so now some of it's fake, but some of it's real.
Well, I
I
mean, you
wouldn't, I
did.
wouldn't, I wouldn't put it all down the drain as charlatan. because you know, I really believe that there is like, you know, demonic sort of things playing with this sort of playing with people's minds and stuff with that kind of stuff. It opens up a doorway, like, you know, you got the Ouija board and all that kind of stuff, and that's another way to contact the dead. And it opens up a doorway. Uh, you said that Lincoln's wife went crazy. Was she crazy, or was she
Mm-hmm.
demonic possessed, and was she injured spiritually?
Mm-hmm. Very Todd Lincoln, yeah. It is interesting. Yeah, she kind of lost her sanity and then died of a stroke. But like, well, I mean, we had those stories about premonitions, right? Um, Now, I like to use tarot cards,
Yeah.
but I don't like I do readings for people, but I don't tell people that this is like a premonition of what's going to happen to you in the future. I think the tarot is a good tool to ask yourself questions and to just get in touch with your own intuition. It's like a creative way to get in touch with your own intuition, and it's, you can
So how does it
tarot
work?
card it's exactly like we were saying before. So the tarot cards all have like different pictures or symbols on them, right? There's different suits. There's swords, pentacles, cups. There's different suits. The suits can represent different things to different people. There's the major arcana, which is like a whole bunch of like, the fool, death, judgment, those kind of things. Just these like basic topics, right? Now the thing is, I was just reading a book about the tarot. Is the tarot works based on symbols that can be read in different ways. So it's purposely meant to be open to interpretation. It's not supposed to mean
So
one
it's
thing.
kind of like a dream. You're
You can
interpreting what the
interpret it
card.
exactly. So for me, it's more like an interpretation tool, and I don't really think of it as being able to tell you. Like it wouldn't be able to tell you which stock to invest in or lottery numbers. It's not that kind of thing. So I would never charge money to do it. Although people do it, and I don't know if there's anything wrong. Like you can do whatever they want, but
You know, you see on these busy streets, these high rent areas, like
mhm,
downtown, in any major city, you see a small shop
mhm.
with the psychic hand on there, and the rent that they have to be getting charged for that,
They must be
they must, yeah,
being
they must be
somewhat
doing
successful.
well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our newspapers have horoscopes in them, whether you believe in astrology or not, and that's a very popular belief. Astrology is like really popular these days. I think more people believe it now than ever did in the past, which is right. So I don't know. People just believe different things, you know. And astrology is based on the exact moment of your birth and where the star or where the planets were, and that is supposed to tell things about your personality and your life.
So, okay, we're talking about psychics now. From the Christian point of view, we have a thing called the prophetic. Um, so, what a Christian would do when they feel like God is telling them something, um, they would say, they say, I feel like God is telling me this about you, and it would be sort of a healing sort of message to the person that, and it's nothing about, you're gonna win a million. It's nothing like that. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's about your personal soul and your healing. Like it'll, what a prophetic message will connect you back to God, which is different than the psychic sort of thing. It's a way to lead you in the direction of God.
And isn't it sometimes too, like I've heard this story where somebody hears somebody else say something and that person didn't necessarily, they're not saying I'm speaking from God right now. They just said something and the person's like, whoa, what you said, it like really hit me in a way that I think God was speaking through you to me as a message to me, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't that
and
happen? That kind of happens, right?
yeah, and that's a prophetic message, less direct, right? You're getting
Mm-hmm.
that message, and you're like, whoa, I feel like God is speaking to me right now through that
Mm-hmm.
thing. And you can be prophetic and not even know it, saying something, you're like, whoa, I needed to hear that right now. So
Yeah, I've felt like sometimes I watch a TV show and somebody says something in the TV show and I'm like, whoa, it like makes me figure out something about my life, or I like realize something like, wait, maybe I should be doing that. And I feel like it's kind of that sense of something working behind the scenes, right? Okay,
and
now
and
we're almost at
as a
yeah.
Christian, I also, um, my pastors used to say, I know it in my knower. That's the
Mhm.
thing. I thought that was a little funny. I know it in my knower, and I get that sometimes too. I just know that it's a truth that I can't prove,
Mhm.
but it ends up happening to be true.
Strong intuition.
Well, no, it's not even like I can't even explain it because it's just like there's no way I should be able to know this, but I do.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's can't even say intuition because it's. I guess that's another thing of the prophetic, right?
Well, this is a good segue to our game tonight. Did you realize we had a
Oh,
game? Oh,
there's a
that's right.
game.
You're our first contestant, and this is going to test what you know in your knower. All right.
Okay,
So what
okay.
we're going to do,
You
I've
can
looked up,
call know in my
I've looked
knowing.
up some pretty obscure forms of divination. Most of these are from ancient Greece because ancient Greeks were super into divination, and we're going to see if you can guess what this divination is based on the name.
Okay,
Okay. Some of them are going to be harder than others. All right.
okay,
We'll start. I'm just going to go down the alphabet. There's so many. I found one for every letter here. I'm not going to do the whole alphabet. We'll
okay,
see how
okay.
far we get. Okay. Here we go. What do you think abacomancy is? Abacomancy.
Abacomancy.
You can play at home if you want. They all end with mancy because that's like, that's what that's a word that means divination. It means like telling something in the future. Abacomancy though.
I have no clue. You're gonna have to.
Okay, it's when you take a bag of dirt or sand or ashes and you dump it on a flat surface, and based on how the dirt spills out, you look for symbols and patterns and you read the future.
So this is like the spilling of the tea leaves, but with dirt.
Dirt or ashes. Sometimes they would even use the ashes of the recently dead. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, this one you might know. Bibliomancy.
Oh, I'm looking in the Bible for clues.
Yep. Yep. It turned into the Bible in later years, but it was originally just any holy or important book. You would just flip
Okay.
it to a random page, and then you'd read a passage, and
Hey,
that
I've done
was
that.
there. You go. See,
I was just
that's
like,
when
hey,
people
let's see
do
what
that.
God wants from me. Nope, that doesn't work.
Sometimes a way to do it would be to balance the book on its spine. If it was a big book with a big spine, you balance it on its spine and let go of the two covers, and then whatever it opens on, that's your page.
I actually have a story for that. So I had this huge crush on this girl, and I was convinced that God wanted me to be with her. So I did that thing of the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and I put my finger on a thing in the Bible, and it said, "Behold, I have told you beforehand." I'm like, "Ah, it's true," and I was not right.
I'm just gonna say, like, where is she now?
Nope.
All right. Well, we're still trying. Ladies out there, single ladies, chime in, send a message. Okay, here's another one. You might get this. Cometomancy.
Study of the comets.
You got it. Studying the comets, right? I mean, how often is there a comet, though? You can't really do this one that often, can you?
You're like, oh no, I just missed the comet. I couldn't even study it. It just flew away.
All right, you got two in a row. That's pretty good. I'll give you a tough one here. Dactylomancy.
Dactylomancy.
Yeah.
Study of Dax the Destroyer from.
No. So it's you hang a string and you tie a ring on the end of the string, and then you have letters, and the way the ring I think you slowly lower it, and whatever letter it lands on, if it's like swinging, it'll swing a bit, and it's like you
Can you
land on a
spell a
letter.
word?
Well, and it's probably like the yeah,
Kind of like
probably
Ouija board.
kind of like the Ouija board, yeah. That sounds scary. Okay, here's another one. Entomancy.
And
Entomancy.
how am I supposed to know this?
Do you know what entomology is? It's the
Oh,
same root word. Oh, if you knew your Greek root words, you'd be a lot better at this.
entomology. What is entomology?
When you study insects.
Oh, yeah.
Insects.
Sorry.
So they would release a bunch of insects, and then based on
You
how they
gotta get a
crawl,
smarter contestant here.
and then based on the way the insects would crawl, they would find patterns and read the future. All
It's
right,
like,
I'll do another
because
easy
when
one.
the insects like, look at me, I'm telling the future.
Okay, here's a good one. This one's really weird, but you might get this. fruitomancy.
Using fruit to tell the future.
Okay, you know what you do? So you call the
Well, you
you
could
call,
say, "Hey, you're really fruity today," and it's a compliment.
but this is actually what they would do. This is ancient Greece. You show up to somebody's house, and based on the fruit that's in their house, in their kitchen, based on the shape and ripeness and color of the fruit, you tell the future.
Wow,
Yeah.
they were really pulling. They really reaching for.
Talking about charlatans, I mean, I don't know, man. It must
They
have been a
were
booming
elite in
business.
there, weren't they? With the
Ancient, if
fruit.
you're into divination, go back in time to ancient Greece because it's all over the place. They're all about
They were
it.
like, "Where they need just anything, right?"
Now, my personal favorite, this is the last one, gyromancy.
Is this study of helicopters? I don't know.
It's something spinning.
Something spinning. Gyro. Oh, no, I don't know.
So they would get the person to spin around. And then
Oh,
based on how they stumbled when they were dizzy, they would tell the future.
tell us the future. I will spin you
Spin
again.
around. Just keep spinning around. I'll tell you.
This guy's really smart, and watch what happens when he spins. He's even better.
That happens in wrestlers get that though when they stumble around.
Yeah, they're doing the airplane spin with the
They get up and they're all like, you know. So you
but
could
they
tell the
don't
future. You could watch that. Watch what wrestlers do when they're stumbling around. You might be able to tell the future.
they usually like I'm gonna lose this match because it's predetermined. Um,
Hey, that's the thing. We didn't solve that. Is there fate or do we have free will? Because if we have free will, how could something tell the future?
Interesting.
Mhm.
So I have this theory for psychics and mediums that actually do um, speak into your life and know stuff, because if demons are speaking to them, then demons are all around. They could just watch and observe. Oh, you got a friend named Henry. Well, of course he knows you have a friend named Henry. He's watching.
Hmm.
So
That like kind of like okay, so the medium is in contact with demons, and the demons know more things because they can
yeah,
kind of
they're all
like
around. They could talk to
they're
all
all
the
over
other
the place. So
demons
it's
and
kind of like you're using them like spies.
yeah, they're networking.
Hmm. I mean, this isn't really related, but I was really fascinated with Houdini for a while, and I read a bunch of his biographies. Houdini was quite an amazing person. The way that he was a charlatan, like he was a con artist, but his cons were like pretty good. So he would actually go to a town in disguise months before he was going to perform there,
Oh,
and he would
case of the
start
joint.
and he would just he'd hang out in the bar and he'd hear stories and he'd start like listening to people's stories and figuring out whose father just passed away and like who just broke up with somebody, so he
Oh,
would hear all the stories and like get to know everybody, and then he would show up as Houdini, like showing up with his big like parade or whatever, and then when he was on stage he would like know somebody's name, and then he would know that their mother just passed away. He'd know all these things, but it's just because he was in disguise hanging out there listening at the bar for a month before.
that's brilliant.
That's dedicated, right? That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. He said that's the long con.
It is the long con.
The long con.
Sometimes he would get to know, if he got to know as someone who worked at the jail, he would pull this thing where he would get to know the guy and he'd convince the guy to get him one of the keys, and then he'd get a copy of the key made, and then he'd hide it in his hair or somewhere on his body, and then he would do this stunt where he'd get thrown in prison. When he showed up, he'd get the mayor to throw him into prison, strip searched naked, and he would break out because he would just like use this key, and they always like they couldn't figure out how he break out.
Okay, so we've gotten into some of the phony stuff, but so we have established that we do have dreams that come true. We do have visions. We do have things that we're made so supernatural that if we're able to tap into some of this stuff and really focus our spirit, then we can actually. And I think I brought this up in a past episode. You're at the supermarket and you're looking another way, and you sense someone looking at you. Turn and you see the person looking at you. How did you
Oh
know
yeah,
that?
that's interesting. That's
Like
interesting.
how were you able to know that?
You
So
could actually do experiments where you test that. So you sit in the room with your back turned, and I will
I
not be
don't think
looking
it'll
at you.
work. I don't think it'll
I
work.
won't look at you. We can test this next time. We can tell the viewers. I won't look at you for a while, and then I'll randomly start looking at the back of your head and see if you know when I started looking at you.
Well, we'll try it out and we'll tell everyone how it
Yeah,
goes.
we'll see if it worked. Depends on how in tune we
But
are.
but it's hard because then I'm waiting for you to look at me, right? When
Well, that's
you're
part of the experiment. It's a controlled experiment. I don't know how else you would do this.
well, because you're just like when you're at the supermarket or getting on the subway or you know, uh, you just sense it out of nowhere, right? Like you've
Yeah.
had that happen, right? Where you sense someone looking at you, and then you look, and they're looking at you.
Well, I mean, women, whenever I'm walking around, women are just constantly looking
Yes,
at
yeah,
me,
that's
right?
constantly pounding you. Like how do you even be you at this point?
I don't know. It's crazy.
Hard,
No,
hard.
I know what you mean though. Have had that. Or when you walk away from somebody and then you turn to look back at them just as they turn to look back at you, and you're like, "Whoa, we both turned to look back at each other at the same time." That's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I mean, a lot of the things I looked up, like I looked up astrology, and then there was a whole part about scientists like doing tests to see if things in astrology actually came true, and it's pretty solid evidence that it like doesn't really come true, you know.
And then you
So
had the guys who were, you know, in the military, and they're trying to make goats
oh yeah, men who
explode,
stare
right?
at goats. Yeah.
Men who stare at goats, and
So
that's the
I
same
mean,
sort of
here's the
thing.
thing though. If the military was spending money trying to figure out if some of these psychic things were true, then they obviously believed it enough to be spending money to research it.
Yeah, obviously they had a few cases where it was they obviously true, and they
Mm,
wanted to tap into everyone's ability to do that. Like to have a
yeah.
soul, do you have an army of people with this ability? Wow, right?
But it might not be something that can be trained. You know what I mean? It could be natural talent if any of this stuff is true. Like if people
I
can be
think,
psychic or you know.
yeah, I don't know because I have it a little bit, and I think like if I'm able to tap into it even stronger, like I could, if I'm just able to focus, that I'd be able to tap into it a lot stronger than I do. So I don't know if it's just I'm just blaming myself or if I'm just not that good.
You should try to dream about 649 numbers. Just really try.
Okay,
Focus.
I'm
Okay.
I'm gonna I'm gonna really focus tonight when I go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm like
There
649,
are there
649,
are secret sponsor for this episode.
649, 649.
Lotto 649. Secret sponsor.
And in America, we're also sponsored by the Powerball. So
Ooh, the
649
Powerball.
is Canada. This is Canadian show, but yeah, they have the Powerball, and they have that giant lotteries down south in America.
What's up with Keno?
You know,
It's
people
just
are gonna
weird.
people are gonna know what you're talking about.
Do they not have Keno in America?
I don't know if they use the word Keno, so I don't know.
It's kind of like bingo, but it's not bingo. I'm confused, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, wrapping it up here. It's been a good episode. I think that we kind of tackled like all kind of subject, and we had a friend here talking to us, Forgotten Shadows. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate them. Uh, everyone, please like and subscribe. Tomorrow on Just Another Effing Podcast, we'll be recording for Monday, and we're going to pre-announce it now. We have got the Adrian Adonis shirts
Nice.
available on prowrestlingtees.com. We have partnered with Adrian Adonis's family to extend his legacy. The wrestler, if you don't know the wrestler, look him up on YouTube here. Adrian Adonis, he was a great wrestler, but he died in 1988, and we're trying to get him in the WWE Hall of Fame or in some other Hall of Fame, but we want to honor him. And so please buy that shirt. Follow us on Twitter at All F and Wrestling. Follow us on Instagram, All F Wrestling, and on Facebook, F and Wrestling Group.
Yeah,
And
check out the past episodes. I watched some of the last week's episode, tag teams. Pretty good.
So for here on YouTube, please like us and subscribe. And With that, I guess
All right. So until next time, keep on wrestling with the paranormal.